Yeah. Hello, my name is Jacob Monk. Welcome to this little video about Holocaust denial. Holocaust denial. Well, the listeners to this video, they are probably Holocaust deniers, including you. I know you don't want to admit it. You say, no, I'm not a Holocaust denier. It's only some right-wing people in Germany or in USA, they are the only Holocaust deniers. But I'll explain you that you are a Holocaust denier too, because we have Holocaust deniers in nearly every country in the world, and especially in the Western world. And in some of the countries where we have most Holocaust deniers, they have made laws against Holocaust denial. That is because it is so common to be Holocaust denier that they try to hide it away from the international public. They are so ashamed of their own mentality, so they make laws against Holocaust denials. Exactly that is what is the case nowadays in Russia, in Germany, in Poland, in France, in Österreich, and a few Belgium, and a few other countries in Europe. Well, I think Europe is the place in the world where there are most countries with laws against Holocaust denial. But you have to understand that there are seven major Holocausts in this world. And all kind of laws against Holocaust denial, they only go against one kind of Holocaust denial. And that is exactly the kind of Holocaust denial that is most common in this country, in the country where this law is in use. Here in Denmark, we have no laws against Holocaust denial. Actually, we have something like freedom of speech, and I'm very proud about that. That's why I'm able to make this video here in Copenhagen. If I was living in other European main cities, it would probably not be possible. I would be in danger if I made this video in Berlin, Paris, Warsaw, in Vienna, in Moscow, because all these places Holocaust denial is illegal. Well, let's see the seven Holocausts and try to discuss why it is so common. The first Holocaust we take is the oldest Holocaust on my list, and it is the Muslim Holocaust against the Hindus in India. It was in 16th and 17th century. You can read about it in history books from India, and the Hindu nationalist historians will tell you a lot more about this Holocaust. It cost the life of 200 million Hindus. 200 million Hindus. It is the second worst Holocaust in world history. We'll come to the worst Holocaust in history later in this short lecture. Well, who denies this Holocaust? You'll find out that most Muslims in the world, especially the Muslims in Pakistan and living in India, they deny this Holocaust. They say, no, it was only some kind of war between different tribes, between different warlords, different rulers of certain areas in what is called India today. But actually, it was a Holocaust against the Hindus, because, you know, Muslims, they just don't like polytheists, and Hindus, they are polytheists. So, according to the Quran, you have the right to kill Hindus. And that's why 200 million Hindus were killed in the 16th and 17th century. Well, second, now we come to Russia. In the late 19th century, that is about 1880 until 1900. If you read Encyclopedia Britannica edition from 1902, you will have a big article about the pogroms in Russia. And there you can read that 6 million Jews were killed in Russia during the pogroms. If you go and ask the Russians today, they'll say this is a pure lie. And if you ask the Russians before the revolution in 1917, they would say the same. This is pure lie. And you'll find out that there are so many Holocaust deniers all over the world. The first Holocaust, the Holocaust in India, all Muslims denied this Holocaust. That is 1.6 billion Holocaust deniers. And here we have the first Holocaust in Russia. You can also read about it in Jewish papers and Jewish books from the beginning of the last century. The pogroms in Russia, you know, the Jews and the Orthodox Christians, they just couldn't take each other. There was a big conflict. Therefore, we had the Russian Revolution. It was mostly led by Russian Jews that was communist at the same time. And the first law being decided in the communist Russia was the law against anti-Semitism. Actually, you had death sentence for being anti-Semite. This was in the communist Russia. But in the Tsarist Russia before 1917, it was very anti-Semitic because of the history of Russia and the conflicts between the Orthodox Christians and the Jews. But the Orthodox Christians say this is a pure lie. That means they are Holocaust deniers. They are Holocaust deniers, these 46 million Russians that are living in Russia today. And now we come up to the year 1917. In 1917 you can read in Jewish papers, you can find them on the internet, copy of these papers, that there was another Holocaust against the Jews in Russia. Just before the revolution, 6 million Jews were killed there. Well, you know the word Holocaust, it comes from Old Testament, from the Torah. It means being burned to death, what you call a religious sacrifice, costing the life of a lot of people. That is the meaning of a Holocaust. And there was another Holocaust in 1915-16 in Russia, another pogrom. And also there 6 million Jews were killed. You can read it in Jewish papers. That means 6 million Jews in the last 18th century, 6 million Jews in 1916. That is altogether 12 million Jews. And you will find that 99% of all Russians in Russia and abroad today and 100 years ago, they deny this fact. That means they are Holocaust deniers. Although that Holocaust denial is illegal in Moscow and in Russia today, 2016. But in Russia, it's only illegal to deny the Holocaust of the Jews in Germany. It's totally legal and totally normal to deny the Holocaust of the Jews in Russia. So I would call this some kind of double standard. Now we come to the Armenian Holocaust. Armenians, they were allied with the Russians in First World War. That means the Christians in Armenia, and most Armenians, they are Christians. And they were part of the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire was a Sunni Muslim empire, and they were allied with Germany in First World War. And that means that the Ottoman Empire wanted to kill the Armenians, and that is exactly what they did. They killed around 2 million Armenians. There were 4 million Armenians altogether. They killed 2 million. That means half of the Armenians. No person from Turkey, no Muslim will admit this atrocity, this Holocaust. Actually, I believe it is illegal to talk about this Holocaust in Turkey today, because the Turkish government, they deny that it should be true. But the fact is that 2 million Armenians were killed by the Muslim Turks around 1915 to 1917. Yes, most Turks, they are Holocaust deniers because this was a big Holocaust. Now we come up to the German Holocaust against the Jews. I don't have to go in detail, but you know, according to history books, Adolf Hitler and his helpers, they killed 6 million Jews. They were put in gas chambers and killed. And you'll find out that most Germans, they really don't believe this story. But they do not dare to tell it because it's illegal to be a Holocaust denier in Germany. So all Germans, they pretend to believe it. They say, oh, it's awful. But my father and my grandfather, they didn't do anything wrong. All Germans today, they claim that their grandfathers were anti-Nazist. Well, I wonder if the Germans today tell the truth. Who was the members of Hitler's army? Who were the guards at the concentration camps? Who were the soldiers in SS? Who were the policemen and the bureaucratic officers in the Hitler government during Adolf Hitler up until the end of Second World War? Well, all Germans today, they say, it's not me, it's not my father, it's not my grandfather, we have always been against Nazism. That means either they have a very short memory or they are pure liars or delusional people. You can choose yourself. But all of them are Holocaust deniers because they don't believe that Germans killed 6 million Jews. That's why it's illegal to deny it in Germany. It's illegal because the German government and the American forces still being in Germany today, 2016. Germany is actually still an occupied state in Europe, occupied by American forces who do not want to draw themselves back to the United States. So Germans, they just have to obey the Americans, and the Americans tell them you have to accept that you killed 6 million Jews because this is a part of Jewish history, of Jewish mythology. But it's illegal to be a Holocaust denier, although most Germans and people in Austria, in practice, in secret, they are Holocaust deniers. And now we come to Holocaust number 7, the worst of all. You know, to kill a human being not being born, that is called abortion. And abortion is murder of a completely defenseless and innocent child. This is very much against Christian morality, very much against what is in the Bible, very much against the teaching of Jesus Christ, and against the moral in any religion in this world. Abortion is a very severe moral offense against the law of God and the moral laws of human beings. Nevertheless, there are millions of unborn children being killed. Well, in the Western countries, there are killed about 40 million unborn children every year. Here in Denmark, it's a very small country with 5.5 million citizens. We have 18,000 abortions every year. In the Western world, it is 40 million abortions every year. And when you multiply, because this law has been running for many years, I would say 40 years until now, you will find out that in the Western world there have been killed around 200 million children. 200 million children. That is a very low estimate. If you take the whole world, it will be around 800 million children, probably more. I would say 1 billion children. No one has the exact number. That if we say that 1 billion unborn children and innocent children had been murdered by the laws of legal abortion in the world in the last 40 years, that is the hardest offense against any kind of morality that has ever been done. So this is the worst Holocaust of all. The Holocaust against the Jews, against the Armenians, and not to forget the Holocaust against the American Indians. I'm afraid I forgot to mention that. 20 million Indians, that means native citizens of America, were killed by the Protestants coming to America in the 17th century. 20 million Indians were killed. Some of them were shot, others were polluted, and many of them died because of infectional diseases. So this is one of the worst Holocausts in world history. And when we take this Holocaust, the American Holocaust against the Indians, and the international Holocaust against the unborn children, these are about the worst Holocaust in world history. That is when you compare the number of dead people to the population, and when you take in account the situation where this Holocaust happened. Because every kind of Holocaust, the offenders, the guilty people will tell you, well, we couldn't do anything else. We just had to kill these people, if not we would be killed ourselves. This was war, and this was this, and this was that. They have a lot of excuses, just like the followers of Adolf Hitler have. When you say they killed 6 million Jews, they say, oh, blah, 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 blah. This is because it was not my fault. This is the same the Americans say when we discuss the Holocaust of the Indians. And actually, most Americans are Holocaust deniers. They say it's not truth. You have to ask the Indian historians, that means the historians coming from the native population in America, that means the ethnic Indians in America. I hope you understand what I mean. So the conclusion of this short speech is that Holocaust denial is so very common. You'll find it all over the world. In America, in Russia, in Germany, in Austria, in Poland, in France. You'll find it everywhere. Also here in Denmark, where we have committed Holocaust against the Greenlanders. But that will be a subject of another video. Well, thank you. Remember, you are a Holocaust denier. You have an indirect responsible for one or more Holocaust. And you have to live with the fact that you are a guilty human being. So, what are you going to do? Well, first of all, you have to face the truth, to accept that you are guilty, to accept that Holocaust and Holocaust denial is not an exception. It is the normal way in most Western countries and also in other countries in the world. You have to accept that, because first when you accept your own guilt, you can be a free man, because you can ask God for forgiveness. You can ask your fellow human being for forgiveness. And maybe you'll have this forgiveness. I can't give you any guarantee. This is your problem, not mine. Thank you for listening.